On the surface, Brunswick Aces looks just like every other bar in Melbourne, but there's one big difference.
We're the first bar in Australia that serves no alcohol. That being said, we do have everything you'd expect in a normal bar, be it beers, wine, spirits, just no hangover tomorrow.
The recent launch of this booze-free bar shows just how popular these products are becoming. Since 2015, global sales for zero alcohol alternatives have grown by over 500%. Thanks very much.
Really, everyone is trying to get more and more non-alcoholic drinks in their diet.
Brunswick Aces CEO Stephen Lawrence has witnessed this cultural shift firsthand. In 2017, he and his friends began distilling Australia's first non-alcoholic gin.
We were literally just 5 neighbours that became friends over a love of food and drink. One of our team got pregnant and another one started running triathlons, and so what really happened was that they would just miss out on us making cocktails and sharing that experience together. So we have an engineer and we have a scientist in our team. We put our heads together and decided that surely we can make the same kind of product with that same experience, just minus the alcohol.
So some people wouldn't understand the point of having a non-alcoholic drink, like a non-alcoholic gin. Why not just have a lemonade?
Yeah, well, what we've found is that no one has ever come to us and said, I really like this gin because the alcohol tastes great. It's always about those complex flavours and aromas that you get from the distillation process, in comparison to, say, a soft drink, which is very much based around sugar. So it's very one-dimensional and it leaves the palate quite quickly. When you have an alcohol, or indeed our non-alcoholic product, you're able to get that kind of front, middle and back palate blending together, and it's what lends it to pairing with food or even just a good conversation.
Now, working in a bar like this, you must see everyone sort of come and go. What would you say your demographic was?
It's a question we get asked all the time, and I still don't really have an answer because it is so wide and varied. We see a whole range of people coming in for a whole range of different reasons, be it someone in their 30s wanting to drink a little bit less and be able to get up and do yoga in the morning, or someone that's a bit older that's been told by their doctor that they should be drinking a little bit less for health reasons. 80% of people that drink non-alcoholic drinks also drink alcoholic drinks. So it's very much more about moderating and being able to have a couple of nights off the booze, but without losing out on your lifestyle.
With the growing success of businesses like Stephen's, more and more Aussie alcohol producers are catering to this growing market. Mornington Peninsula brewery owner Matt Beebe recently expanded his range of craft beers to include not 1, but 2 alcohol-free pale ales.
Whenever you're making a beer, there's sort of talk about 4 ingredients. So there's the malt, the hops, the yeast and the water. So when you're looking at Mornington Free, same process, but it's the yeast that's the different component. So normally yeast converts the malt or the sugars to alcohol. This yeast, the special yeast that we get, converts the sugars to esters, which is a flavour profile of the beer. Hence, you don't get any alcohol, or you get very, very little alcohol.
And were you trying to replicate the flavour of a pale ale with this non-alcoholic beer?
Yeah.
And was that really challenging to do?
Sure, I'd love to be able to say that if I had a pale ale and I had a Mornington Pale Free, that they're exactly the same. But they're not, because they're made differently. So there is a slight difference, but I think that if that's your option, that's your choice to have the alcohol-free, then it's a very, very good alternative. And especially if you come to the bar and you're the designated driver and the choice is to have an alcohol-free beer and look like and be part of that whole experience.
In the first year, the Mornington Free has become our second biggest seller out of all our products. Mainly driven by millennials and actually the older generations looking for an alternative to drinking heavy beers or any alcohol for that fact.
In Australia, sort of hanging out with friends, it's often synonymous with having a drink as well. Do you think there's still stigma around people choosing not to drink?
I think there is, but it's definitely changing, and having alternatives that are so like beer or so like a spirit actually helps that shift in people's perceptions.
While most manufacturers of these drinks are doing their best to mimic the taste of the real thing, there are a few refreshing exceptions. Melbourne's Aaron Trotman is thinking way outside the box with his wine alternative company, Non.
If you mimic, you're already off the mark. We're taking a much different approach where we're trying to show them something, a different way of thinking.
Aaron has collaborated with culinary experts to roast, toast and stew a wide variety of ingredients.
We're looking at floral, tannin, salinity and acid. All those things that you would know that are in wine, but rethinking it.
So tell me what I'm supposed to be tasting and smelling here.
So you're getting raspberry and chamomile on the nose. We use fresh raspberries, so we get a nice tart profile and flavour in there. You'll get the chamomile in the finish and a salty back end as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It has a really full flavour profile, and yet it tastes nothing like wine. It's definitely not trying to be a wine. It's something of its own.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Rish, you've come on as the General Manager of Non. Where do you see it going in the future? What would you like to see for Non in, let's say, 10 years' time?
So in an ideal world, I think non-alcoholic should be fully embraced by all cultures. If someone's asking why you're not drinking, we should be asking why you are drinking. I think no one asks the question to a vegetarian why you're not eating meat. It doesn't exist in our culture anymore, and I'd like the non-alcoholic to get there as well.
We see that this category is here to stay and will be as established as the alcoholic one in, perhaps just 5 or 10 years.
Well, cheers to that.
Indeed.